What's good, beautiful people? It's your girl, Ashley Janae. Thank you so much for stopping by. If this is your first time here at my channel, welcome. This is the place where we focus on all things self-mastery. So whether it's in your business, your personal life, or on your health and wellness journey, we have something here for you. Today's video, we're talking about herbs, specifically cleansing herbs. Herbs that can be used in your spiritual or physical practices that you might have in your kitchen cabinet. So stay tuned. We're going to be talking about smudging. We're going to be talking about the controversy surrounding white sage. And I'm also going to give you a list of other herbs that you can use to make your own smudge bundles. Here we go. First things first, we have to talk about sage, white sage in particular. Now, the reason why we have to talk about white sage is because there's so much controversy around it. And the reason for that is it's being over harvested because of its trendiness. In the last few years, outlets like Urban Outfitters, Anthropology, Sephora has started making cleansing kits or even like witchy kits and selling white sage. The problem with that is we don't have white sage just everywhere. It's in two main places, and those lands are protected. The Aboriginal people of this land use white sage for medicine. They use it for healing. They use it for certain rituals, and not all natives, but certain natives specific to these groups found in Mexico and in certain parts of California. Now, what was happening is people were going to those lands and stealing the white sage, not talking to anybody that were the keepers of the land. So what happened was those places where sage bushes were growing became depopulated really fast. And so the sage couldn't keep up with the demand that people were just taking and taking and taking, and they didn't have time to regrow. That is the problem with white sage right now. The good news is sage, like any other herb, is going to be what you make it. If you have a spiritual practice, you know that everything is about intention. So sage, the reason why it got popular is because beyond just a spiritual use, physically, sage has been shown to kill bacteria in your surrounding environment, which is one of the reasons that made it so popular. But today, I want to show you a list of sage alternatives that you can use in your spiritual ritual. Now, I'm not telling you don't use sage, but I want you to think about sustainability. I want you to think about respect for the Aboriginal and Indigenous people, and I want you to think about respect for the plant life. Depending where you are on your spiritual journey, you might believe, like I do, that even the plants, even the animals are alive spiritually, and we cannot just take and rip away from these things from their lives without karmic consequences. So we want to be mindful in everything that we do and how we interact with nature, that all of these things are alive and deserve our utmost respect. So let me show you a few of the herbs that I use for my smudge bundles. Okay, here I have just a few things that I pulled off my shelf to show you what you can use in your spiritual practice, whether it's cleansing, you just want to improve the mood, focus, whatever it is. So here we have some resins. This is a dragon's blood resin, frankincense, and we also have myrrh. Really popular, pretty easy to get. This is lemongrass. Lemongrass is great for cleansing. It's for clarity, focus, and it's great for improving energy. Just like lavender. Lavender is a great herb. It's a great plant for relaxation, for happiness, for peace. Bay is really popular for manifesting. It's also a great protection herb. It's great for healing, and it's a mood booster. So it's a really good combination when you mix it with the lavender. Cinnamon, another mood booster, great for energy, and even in teas when you have a cold or flu, like most of these plants will be. Here you have thyme, You have mint, rosemary, and a common sage, usually a culinary sage, and cedar. All these plants can be used in a tea. It can be used in cooking, but they're really good for things like memory, removing blockages, negativity. They're really good for cleansing, refreshing, things like that. And then over here, I have two different kinds of wood. The one on the left is Palo Santo. It's really good for mood boosting and energy. And I also have cedar, very ancient wood, also called a holy wood, just like Palo Santo. So these are just a few things that I pulled off my shelf to show you what you could consider for your spiritual practice. Okay, Ashley, so once I figure out what I want to use, how do I use it? I'm glad you asked. So there are a few ways that you can use the plants that you've picked out. Now, one way, just like with the white sage, we're not going to be using sage in any of these, not the white sage. You can make a bundle. And you can see a few things in there. You can see that lemongrass. You can see lavender. You can see that culinary sage in there. I have a few more. This one has rosemary. This one has cedar, lavender. This one that I make, this one has the common sage. I see some lavender, has a bay leaf wrapped around it. It has some lemongrass. This one right here, this has mint and lemongrass. Yep, this is just mint and lemongrass. And I make these for different people depending on what it is they're looking for, what they're trying to accomplish, so on and so forth. 2 of these are for me, 3 are for other people. And right now they're in the drying process. You want to use fresh, living plants when you make these. Do you see this? Rosemary, lavender. Looks like it has some cedar in there. All kinds of things I put inside, mix in between. I know 2 of these have cinnamon on the inside, actual cinnamon sticks on the inside. Yep, I think it's this one. Yep. If you can see a little piece right there, has cinnamon sticks on the inside. But it's what you want to make it. I like to use, you can use a twine, a string, whatever it is that you have. I like to use unbleached, all natural hemp cords, and that's it that I use for wrapping and binding my fresh herbs. And the reason why you want to use fresh is because if you're using dried, they'll crumble as you make them. But when you use fresh and they still have the water inside of them, all you have to do is leave them out for 1 to 2 weeks and they'll dry out. Here we haven't had much sun, so these have happened to be drying in my house, but we might get some sun today. So if we do, I'm going to take them outside. Now, another way that you can use these is in a fire safe container. Now, if you have like a porcelain container or something like that, actually I have, this is one of the first things I used. It's a pestle and mortar, but what I did, because I didn't have a fire safe dish that I could use for burning my herbs, I used this. And what I did was I got a little bag of sand, and it's any kind of sand that you need. And I put the sand at the bottom because the container will get too hot if you're burning herbs. But I put sand at the bottom, a good layer of sand at the bottom. And then you use this. These are called charcoal briquettes. I have some that are open, but they're on the other side of the room. But you always want to keep you some charcoal tablets. These are not the same thing as the charcoal that you use in your grill. These charcoal tablets, all you do is you light it and you'll see little sparks flying from it. And once you see the sparks, it's lit. You wait until it turns gray most of the way. Once it's gray, it's heated all the way through. Then what you can do is you would take your herbs, just like what we have on the tray, but you want dry herbs. If you use an herb that still has its life source in it, that's still full of water, it's not going to burn the same way. So you wait until it's completely dried out, then you can crumble up whatever herbs you want, put it right on the charcoal disc, and there you go. You have your incense, you have your smudge. Now, same thing with these, and I wanted to pull a few out because I want you to see them. This is dragon's blood. The reason why it's called dragon blood is nothing spooky. There's a tree, when you cut it open, the tree literally looks like it's bleeding. And in ancient mythologies, in different cultures, they would say it was the blood of dragons. So a lot of that comes from Asian cultures. But I wanted you to see, this is resin. Now, resin basically is when they take it and they dry it out and it forms these crystallized pieces. This is called dragon's blood. Dragon's blood is really good for cleansing and protection. Really, really good. This is myrrh. A lot of people are familiar, at least, with myrrh. Oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this. But this is myrrh. It's darker. And then here's frankincense. I just want you to see up close what these things look like. Frankincense and myrrh, same idea. You're going to take these, put it on your lit, already hot charcoal tablet, and you get the incense. You also can use a censer. I have one. Let me show you. Okay, so I had to go get it. This right here is called an incense censer. And if you look at the top, it has 3 holes in it. And what's cool about this comes off. And it's the same thing, the sand and charcoal method. You can even see some residue of sand that I have left in there. But you can put your resin on top of that charcoal, your dried plants, what have you. It's super awesome. And the cool thing is it has this string, so you can carry it around with you. You can hang it somewhere when you're doing your prayers, your meditation, your mantras, setting your intentions, things like that. Also, you can get a little cast iron cauldron thing like this. It's really good for fire safety, especially. You still want to do your sand and your charcoal method, but it has a container that you can just put it out, make sure it's out. Really awesome. I love this. So now that we know how you can do it, let's talk a little bit more about the why. Number 1, most important thing to remember is intention. So whether you're trying to just relieve a little bit of stress, whether you're trying to gain some clarity and insight, whether you just want to be able to kind of escape transcendentally in your mind from your area and just focus on your vision or your future or whatever it is that you're planning. Whatever purpose that you have, set up a time that is special for you personally, where you can be by yourself and really maybe just focus, or with someone that maybe you care about. If you feel like, you know what, it's time for me to spring clean. Whenever I spring clean, I also spiritually clean out. I like to cleanse my space, the different corners of my house, and just make sure that the energy is nice and fresh. When I was a kid, people would always say, you know, open up the windows and get all the fresh air blowing in through your house. Spiritually, it reminds me of the same thing. We want to get that good energy flowing and moving through our house and remove that old, stale, stagnant energy. If you ever notice that there's a time when you feel like, man, I'm just in a slump, or I don't know what to do, or I feel stuck, maybe it's time for you to cleanse. Give it a try. And I want you to let me know, what kind of herbs do you think would be great for burning as an incense or making a smudge bundle? I really like the lavender. It's actually one of my favorites because it's so completely calming. The lavender and the mint together are really, really awesome. Lemongrass is another favorite that I've started using within the last year. Amazing. So I want you to let me know, what do you use? What else did I leave off of this list that you think is super important for people to use? Okay? That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you smash that like button and make sure you turn on your post notifications so you don't miss a thing. Share this video with somebody that you know will enjoy it. Hit me up in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next video, family. Peace. Did you know I picked out a video just for you? Really, I did. I put it right here. Click it. Click it right now so you can check it out. Just for you.